Hi everyone, how is it going? Today I'm going to talk about setting up hybrid graphics on your Linux for your Linux desktop. So hybrid graphics is something like you have different GPUs set up or installed on your motherboard, and you wanna use both of them at the same time. What I mean, you could literally you can access the both the graphics card. Um, just like you can access any other peripheral devices on your computer. So I'm gonna show you the software side of it. So there are certain things you have to be aware of what you can do about it. Normally for my computer I'll show you if I open up CPU X. So I've got a i7 really old CPU, Sandy Bridge Intel CPU, and on the motherboard, currently I have an AMD graphics card which is also quite old, 10 years back. Radeon HD 85, as you can see, that's the model of the graphics card, and which is in the PCI slot. You can see it's in the first slot, PCI Express. And next one is I have a relatively recent graphics card, which is NVIDIA GTX 16, as you can see. So I have set up the driver so I can access both of them. I can run certain games on my AMD. Also, I can do the same for NVIDIA. So once you set it up, it's just straightforward. But at the moment, there are certain things you have to be aware of. There's few limitations. I would say not in terms of performance. What I have found the limitations in terms of suppose I give you example, which is for example, certain application you're trying to run on the NVIDIA, which is not the main graphics card in this case. When I'm saying not the main my graphics card, because it's not in the fast slot, and it's kind of working in the background. It's not in the front end because my display, my monitor cable is connected to AMD, and which is the same one connected to the fast motherboard slot. So in my BIOS, I set it up. My AMD graphics card is the primary graphics card, and when the computer boots up, it comes out from the AMD. The video coming up, coming out from the AMD graphics card, and the AMD is actually handling all the rendering of the desktop and the 2D stuff, as you can see, the 2D driver. But NVIDIA, I can access it. It's not for the 2D stuff, for 3D stuff like OpenGL or Coda or Vulkan. I can access NVIDIA for this type of resources. As you can see, my AMD got the memory usage is roughly 10% of what it has. That's because it's now rendering my desktop, which is 1080p resolution, and the NVIDIA one got 98 megabytes. I don't know. Oh yeah, that's because I'm doing recording. This recording, desktop recording, and which is using NVIDIA uh, NVIDIA codec, NVIDIA acceleration for recording desktop stuff. So that's why there's some memory usage on the NVIDIA side. And as you can see, also the GPU clock is high because NVIDIA is recording my desktop. Yeah, that's it. That's about it. So first thing you have to be aware of, so you can go with the different combinations. The common one is you pair a AMD and NVIDIA pair. It works. AMD is the primary GPU out, and the NVIDIA works in the background. And NVIDIA doesn't work unless you put certain applications to work on NVIDIA. otherwise NVIDIA just stays idles. And the other combination is the one you find in the laptops, Intel and NVIDIA, which also should work. I'm not going to talk about because I don't have, I haven't tried yet AMD and Intel combination. I tried once because if both gonna use open source driver, then it's not. I don't know how well it works. I tried it, but it didn't work quite well for me. So here for NVIDIA, we have to use NVIDIA proprietary driver, and for AMD, we're gonna use open source driver, which is Mesa 3D. First of all, what I did with my system, just quickly. So I'm using. So for NVIDIA, first you have to make sure you have Mesa driver is installed for your AMD. It's working, and also you have selected AMD as your primary graphics card, and you plugged the monitor to the AMD, not the NVIDIA. And then you can fire up your CPU-X and can see the status of your hardware, whether it's detected or detected by the operating system. And then we have to tell what I did because there are two at the moment for Mesa. You could either use the Radeon driver for AMD or could use AMD GPU driver, which is AMD GPU is more recent and it has Vulkan support, so I'm using AMD GPU driver for AMD. As you can see in the driver section, they're saying AMD GPU for NVIDIA driver. So by default, if your graphics card is old like my one, it's gonna by default switch to Radeon driver. So you have to disable Radeon to get AMD GPU driver working. So what I did, so you have to blacklist Radeon essentially. I'm sure there's plenty of websites you can find where talks about how to blacklist your Radeon driver and enable your AMD GPU. Like you can add this extra bit of line in your grub command line. I'll show you my grub, so I think this is used right. If I copy this, yeah, this is open. Oh yeah, this is my grub file, which is located. This is the location of. You can open this file as root, like if I fire up my terminal, sudo gedit, and the name of the file. Just close this. And then you can see I just here. Normally, these are the bits I have added extra to this section. After quite splash, I have added Radeon SI support, CID support, and AMD GPU 1. So 1 means I'm turning switch it on, and this is switching off. And also, you might need this mode set as well, and NVIDIA for NVIDIA. And also, I'm blacklisting Radeon driver, also Nova driver. No, I'm not sure how to pronounce this. This is kind of NVIDIA open source driver, but it's better to disable it because it's not needed if you're gonna use proprietary driver. It's gonna conflict otherwise. It's better to be disabled. And then once I have this in my grub, I can just do sudo grub update grub. Also, yeah, or I can just copy this. Or I can just just enter this command. This will what it will do. It will make sure Raiden is disabled and Raiden driver and MDGPU driver is enabled. So once you start your computer, after this reboot your system, and then you should be able to see its AMD GPU for your AMD graphics card. And then for blacklisting, Nova, you could go to this folder, I think in Ubuntu. You could easily go to that folder. Let me see if I can open the tab here. Yeah, here I can open the blacklist in the in the gedit file. I just copy this blacklist blacklist conf, and then you can see at the end of the file I have added these lines: blacklist enable the Raiden, and just blacklisted both these unnecessary drivers, which is not required. Once that is done, you could use Ubuntu Software Center to install NVIDIA driver, or what I've used, I just went to official NVIDIA site and downloaded the latest driver, which is this one. And then I have to go to one of the terminal and turn off the like I can just simply press so this is after once you show that you have AMD driver is working, and to check that I think what you can do is you can check in CPU X, or you can just ls info, and here you should be able to show. You could use the mouse to scroll, see it's using the blah blah blah. It's the Mesa, which Mesa version we got here. How come I can't see Mesa here? And the blah blah blah. DRM. Here Mesa. And then also you can, after that you show it's AMD, then you can just GLS here and it should work. So OpenGL is working. To get these commands, I think you have to install, so that we get Mesa utils package, Mesa utils package, yeah, and also Vulkan utils package, also useful. Both of these already installed in my system, and then you can type in Vulkan info. Same way, you can see Vulkan is found. Because I've already set up on my computer, is showing Vulkan is found for both NVIDIA and AMD driver, and NVIDIA is the primary one in this way, in this sense. If you wanna get so once they're set up, it's pretty straightforward. You just have to blacklist Raiden like I showed you in the blacklist, and then activate AMD GPU, which is more recent for open source NVIDIA. AMD. And you should have the driver working for your AMD. I mean, it's already working. You now just prefer the AMD GPU driver, which is more recent with Vulkan and all that. And now to get NVIDIA working, you have to configure your X to get to use NVIDIA OpenGL or Vulkan in the application like we use in GLX Gears, which is using at the moment AMD. Like you can see when I run this, the GPU clock rises in the AMD. As soon as I close this program, the GPU clock should come down to 300. I don't know why it's not coming down. Yeah, it came down to 300 Hz. But if I run any application on this AMD, I'm not sure why it's switching between maybe certain things is running in the background. And then you can see also I can show you. Let's run Tomb Raider, Open Lara. So Open Lara is Tomb Raider. So in the terminal, you can see Tomb Raider. It detected AMD. It's using my AMD for running this game. So it's an OpenGL game. But now, if we use NVIDIA in the applications, we have to set up Xorg or X server. So we can go to in this folder and we have to create a file called xorg. I'll show you how I set up this file for my computer. So when I open this file, so you need to have these lines here, which is, so I have one screen, default screen, which is the physical screen, and which is using this particular device, which is my AMD. This particular device identifier is this identifier. You can see under the screen section, and the device is that. So I could have a different name for this screen, but I just kept it the same. But the device name should match with the device name of my AMD. So you can see the driver is AMD GPU. So my screen is running off the AMD GPU, and then this is good for AMD GPU driver and write free. And then PCI bus ID, you also need that ID because you see the pass slot in the motherboard is 1, but we can check that exact number from the command line. And then we have another device section which is for NVIDIA, and I gave it a different ID identifier, and it's not part of the screen as you can see, but it's running in the background. The driver is NVIDIA, and the PCI Express slot is different, and we need to have these 2 lines as well. Once you have this file in the EDC, and then you reboot your computer, it's all ready to go. There's nothing more to do. You can easily now access the both graphics card, but for the desktop and everything. So how it works, because everything is routed through the AMD graphics card, because NVIDIA is just working in the background. All the graphics for NVIDIA is eventually gonna be rendered in the AMD memory buffer. That's how it's gonna be shown on the screen. So even though it's gonna use the NVIDIA. That's it. Once you have this file set up, you can use something called prime run. You can create a file called prime run. I think this file is useful, and just create a file in that name, and then you give it an executable, and then just copy that file to user bin folder so that it's found from the command line where all the applications are. I just show you what's inside prime run. Inside the prime run, you need to have these kind of things. Prime render offload once, so it's gonna offload things to the AMD, and it's gonna use only NVIDIA for Volker, and GLX vendor, which is gonna use only NVIDIA for OpenGL. That's it. And this is for file. I show you how this works. Once you copy this file, prime run to user bin, we can run GLX gears using prime run now. Prime run GLX gears. Now at this time, this is not running from AMD. This is running off the NVIDIA. How do we know? Because I'm running the desktop recorder, and NVIDIA is hard to tell. But I'm gonna show you other way. We can check that. We can go to GLX info, which shows us OpenGL information, and then less. And as you can see at this time, for this time, it's NVIDIA OpenGL driver, NVIDIA Corporation, and check the version and all that. It's not using Mesa 3D driver for AMD, so it's using NVIDIA driver. That's it. Another thing, I think, did I forget something? Right here. Blacklist. Let's just run now the Tomb Raider in using the NVIDIA. So you can see now it's using NVIDIA OpenGL. The cool thing about this, you can run certain applications simultaneously in both graphics cards. Say this Tomb Raider is running in NVIDIA, I can run another instance of this game now in AMD, as you can see. So I can access both the graphics card at the same time. It's no problem. And same goes for the Vulkan. And all should work. This is particularly for, of course, we are not gonna run multiple games on the same computer at the same time, but this might be useful for things like if you're rendering, if you're doing 3D modeling or animation where you have to render certain things on one graphics card and while you're also playing games on another graphics card. So like other things like if I'm recording desktop on NVIDIA and my AMD graphics card is free for doing other things, which is pretty cool. Before I close this, I'm just gonna quickly talk about how you're gonna, if you wanna install NVIDIA driver from their site, you can go to the NVIDIA website and download a file like this one, and then you have to disable which is Novo driver, like I did here. You have to disable it. One way to disable, you have to go to the, you can disable it in graph like I did, graph file, and also you can do it in the blacklist file that I showed you. It's located somewhere here in this folder, blacklist conf, and then you should be able to use this NVIDIA driver file to install your NVIDIA driver. To do that, you have to log out from the desktop because I can't do it. I'm running desktop. Then, because I'm running Kubuntu, you have to know which display server you have. First of all, you have to know where this file located. My one is located in the desktop, NVIDIA driver, and then I'm gonna. So my display server is called SDDM. I'm gonna type in this in the command line, command prompt. I can switch to any of the command prompt by pressing Ctrl Alt F2 or F3, any of them, login. After login, I'm gonna enter this command. If you're using Ubuntu, you just have to replace SDDM with something else if you're using some other distros other than Ubuntu. Then when you type this command, it will completely stop the graphics, which is required for installing NVIDIA driver. And once you have done that, you have to go to the location where NVIDIA driver is and give it a, I think we already gave it, you can do it here, give it a permission for executable, and then you can do a sudo just follow the instructions to install the driver. But it would ask you to do auto configure your X100 XOR. Just say no, because if NVIDIA does the auto configuring your or graphics server, it will gonna replace the one you have already created in the, like I have put here. So just say no when it says it's gonna update this or XOR file. That's it, and that's how you install. And then you just have to reboot your computer, sudo reboot, and or you don't have to reboot the computer. You can just type in again sudo service sddm and it should start the graphics again. Finally, if you want to install latest Mesa driver, you should be able to download latest Mesa driver for Ubuntu 2010. One thing I have found, the only issue with this kind of setup is that if I'm trying to run a game on NVIDIA, which is running in the background, we're gonna run in the background, the game is trying to be full screen, and then it's requesting certain resolutions not supported by standard, not supported by your monitor, or I'm not sure whether it has to do with the AMD graphics card, supported by the frame buffer. Certain resolutions it would go blank, just blank. So you have to find a way to stop the game, or start the game in the window mode if you're running the game in the NVIDIA. Or if this happens especially with the older games, with the newer games it doesn't happen that much, because the newer games is gonna find the optimum resolution, and then it's not gonna bother always use the resolution of your monitor, and it's not gonna do. So it only happens mostly trying to run a game with a prime run on the NVIDIA side. So because the graphics on the NVIDIA has to be tunneled, what I understand, has to be tunneled to the through the AMD GPU. So there are certain things, yeah, it doesn't work that way. And thank you so much for watching this video. Until next time, bye bye.